Hi, my name is Zoe Pfeiffer, and for Genius Hour this year, I chose to do a project called Running a Mile, or that's what I called it, because that was my end goal. The reason why I chose this project was because almost a year ago, actually on my birthday, it's gonna hit a year of me being in a car accident, and I hurt myself really bad. I hurt my knee, I hurt my ankle, I hurt my shoulder, and that caused me not to be able to do the sports that I love to play. And so I decided this was just the right amount of motivation to kick me into getting back into shape and doing more rehab on my shoulder so that I can be able to play track and do soccer again, which are sports that I love and I'm very passionate about. So for my project, the main goal was to hit running a mile, which I did hit. But then other goals I had were finding orthotics to wear while running because I have flat feet, and that can help, prevent more injury in the future. Another goal was finding paths to run on so I'm not staring at the same thing every time I run. And then another goal was to find workouts that were equivalent to running, because when the whole project started, it was when we had really bad smoke here in the Tri-Cities, and so I wasn't going to go run on a running trail and risk my respiratory health on doing the project. So I decided to find workouts to do that reach the same level of cardio as a run would. And then the last goal I had was to find stretches to do. Sorry, I had to find the right words. But to find stretches to do before, post-run, and pre-run to help prevent more injury that way too, so that I could keep at it and keep running. But so for my project, my goal was to run 2 days a week, do 2 half-hour runs, or break it up into 10-minute runs, which I realized after the first week that 2 half-hour runs wasn't very ideal, maybe for some people, but not starting off, because I was not long distance. I mean, I could run a mile before that, but quickly changed, and so, I did at least 2 runs a week, but then once, being online for school, sitting in the same spot all day, every day, and being on technology every day, I realized that, after a couple weeks, I needed a mental break from technology, and so my runs started being my mental break. So I stopped bringing my phones on runs, and I started just taking a screenshot of a map and highlighting the route I took and writing how many miles it was and the date I ran, because I just needed that break at that time. But at the beginning, I started using Nike Run Club, that app that you can get on your phone, and using that to track my runs. So as you can see at the beginning, I was very slow. I mean, my first run, I ran 0.65 of a mile. I don't have it in front of me, but I think that's what it was. And that was really hard. I stopped a lot. I walked a lot. The trail that I ran on, which was just a street near my house, it was uphill, and that added more challenge. And then at the end, I ran that in about the same time, but I didn't stop as much, and I could do it without, I think I stopped once, and that's just because I didn't want to push myself too hard because my foot hurt, and that's just because of the surgery. And I mean, this project, I think I'm going to continue to do. I might not run outside, but I am probably going to run. My gym is finally open. I'm probably going to run on the treadmill, especially since winter's hitting. And, you know, throughout this project, I really saw growth in myself, and not only in my skills and what I could do and what I could accomplish, but just in my mental health, and just seeing how, like, good running and getting outside at least twice a week can do you good. One thing that I really wish I changed in this project was finding more time, because I mean, I did it twice a week, but I'd just slip it in. I'd wake up really early and I'd be exhausted the rest of the day, and I really just didn't want to do anything. So I think maybe having a better schedule of how I ran and how I did things, and maybe mapping out more would have been better for this project. One of the hardest things to this project was finding motivation. I couldn't imagine doing it just me by myself, but having Mr. Bouvier there really helped, because, you know, he was always, every week turn in, he was always encouraging, saying, you got this, you can do this, it will pay off, and it did. And so I think the hardest part was just finding motivation, but having the support system of Mr. Bouvier really helped, you know, start the whole thing, because now I know I can do it, and I did run a mile. And so I know sky's the limit on that. The least difficult part of the project was probably, honestly, I think picking the project was the least difficult thing, but that kind of doesn't work. I think overall it was the running, honestly. That sounds weird, but once I got out there and started running, it was pretty easy, you know, because, I mean, it just goes into overdrive. You're like, I'm running. There's nothing else to worry about. You're just worried about where your next foot lands, will you twist your ankle, all those small things. And so it was super easy, super simple, and one of the least difficult things to do, even though at the beginning I had to stop a lot. You know, I challenged myself while running, but it definitely wasn't the most difficult thing that happened. Like I said in the introduction to this video, I overcame a lot of obstacles in this, mental health obstacles, just struggling because of COVID and staring at technology all day, and I had surgery, and, you know, I just had to work through it, and it worked. So that's all I can say about that. Now, a lot of people asked me about what I was doing for my shoulder, because that was part of my goal, was to rehab my shoulder. And throughout this process, I didn't really talk about my shoulder all that much, because there were a lot of moving parts during my project. Like, I had to go to an independent medical exam to see if my insurance company would pay for any more treatment, and they said they wouldn't. And so I had to stop going to the chiropractor and physical therapy and just live in pain with my shoulder. So I started doing some rehab at home, using resistance bands, doing some range of motion exercises, and doing some other exercises that I did at PT. That's why I really didn't talk about my shoulder that much, because I wasn't sure what was going on there either. So for this project, I'm going to talk about a little more of what the baseline was of how we were supposed to do things, what the turn-in looked like. So every week we turned in a weekly video log and a calendar of what we did that week. And on the top of that calendar, we had all 5 of our goals, and then at the bottom we had links to YouTube videos or whatever video we made for our blog. And I mean, I turned in every week. I mean, there's been little tech difficulties, but that's just because I'm not a tech person, unfortunately. So that was kind of how the baseline of our timing worked. We had our first turn-in was our proposal for what our project was going to be, and then we turned in an official proposal, and it got approved for whatever our project was. And then we did week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 until week 10, and then our final turn-in, which is this video. So for that, I mean, I think I did pretty good on meeting all the time requirements and turning everything in on time and the due dates. So every Sunday at midnight, we would turn our, it was due at midnight, we would turn our video and calendar in with all the stuff, and by Thursday that week we'd had feedback, so we knew we still had enough time throughout that week to work harder and do things that Mr. Bouffier was suggesting we do, or changing things up just from the feedback we got. Now, this project made me realize a lot about myself. It made me change how I did things every day. It helped me eat healthier because I was realizing I need to put certain proteins in my body after I run, rather than, I wouldn't eat candy after a run, but that's just an example. Or drinking soda after a run, or something dumb like that. But this project really helped me overcome a lot of things in my life and gave me a lot of confidence to keep going with whatever I do, and made me really, really excited for the next sports season, which unfortunately who knows when that's going to happen because of COVID. The last thing that I'm going to touch on is grading for this project. I mean, with how hard I worked and all the things that I did, I think that I would have earned a 3.7 or a 4. The progress I made was a lot, I think. I mean, my first run was a long run, almost a mile, but the amount of times that I stopped, I probably stopped about like 20 times in that run. And then when I ran a mile 2 weeks ago, I stopped once or twice. And I think that was a lot of progress. And I mean, the weeks that I just didn't do anything were for mental reasons and things that I just needed a break from. Staring at my phone while I'm on a run. Because when I decided not to bring my phones on runs, I wasn't listening to music, I wasn't doing anything, I was just outside enjoying the sunshine and getting a break. This project has really shown me whatever you put your mind to, you can do, and I really think that helped me with how much effort I put in towards the end, especially. But I am going to show more slides of pictures of work that I did, like the list of workouts and some of the screenshots I took from my apps to show data, and then at the end I'll explain it all. So that's my project. I did meet my goal and it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed my project. Thanks for watching. Bye.